Two Pints in a Corner is a music history podcast about the Channel Club in Boston, Mass. Dinky Dawson and Tony Raine are your hosts. They interview channel performers and workers, bringing out stories and memories of the great music and events that came through this iconic South Boston venue. With Tony Raine and Dinky Dawson, unfortunately Tony unable to be with us because he's still recovering from a illness that he's had for over a year and a half now. And
oh man,
yeah, and so Sean's taken the lead with me with the interviewing. We've been doing a real good job, so we've been having a great fun talking to people and about their lives and about the channel and about what they've continued to do afterwards and stuff.
Right.
But before we go on, I just want to say you knocked me off the blues charts. I was number one with Fleetwood Mac, Shrine 69, and next week I see Tom Hambridge, and he. I started laughing. I says, "Oh, I've got to ask some serious questions here."
Oh man, that's funny. Well, you got to give my best to Tony, please.
Oh no, definitely.
Such a dear friend. I love him.
I know that because of what he's done for everybody, and we all love him, and we're all with him and stuff. But we'll start this off proper. Welcome to Two Pints in a Corner, Tom Hambridge, along with Sean McNally, who's our guest interviewer. And it's time we got you, Tom. It's definitely time we got you. The first question, I know Sean's got a lot of questions, but I've got this one straight away is, how did you start working in the business? How did it all begin in respect of growing up and everything else? How did you start playing music?
Well, First of all, let me just say it's great to talk to you both. It's exciting to be on 2 Pints in a Corner. It's awesome.
2 pints.
2 pints.
Yeah. That's it. It was me and Tony sat drinking Guinness.
Yeah, I bet. Well, I started out just banging on pots and pans when I was really young, and my mom. I had older sisters and an older brother, and a lot of music in the house. And my mom and my siblings always said, "You've always been a drummer and always been doing this." So I don't remember a time when I never was, because I know that a lot of, obviously people say, "Hey, I played guitar when I was 16, or I started playing drums when I was in high school or something." I don't have that memory. I only know I was playing because I got my first drum kit when I was 5.
Oh,
and
wow.
My older brother was 5 years older than me, and I know he was in a band when he was 12, and I was the drummer, and then he was in a band in high school, and I was the drummer. And so I've always just been playing. My first gig where I got paid was in the 3rd grade. So I've just always
I love it.
I know, it's crazy, man.
I love it.
And so
I love it.
Fortunately, I don't know how to do anything else. I write songs, and I've been in bands, and I right now I produce records and I play drums, and so I'm just I've just kind of been, knock on wood, doing what I've always been doing. So that's how it all started. It wasn't a one moment, So, I just always been doing it.
Well, that's life. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
So
my first question: you must have had a great agent to get paid as a 3rd grader. My goodness.
Yes.
I know. It was $30, I think. It was.
That's good too at that time period.
I know.
That's
Back
real
then.
Real good.
Yeah. It was just high school band. We play all the high school, but my mom would have to drive me and drop me off.
Yeah.
Because I'd have to unload my drums, and then she'd pick me up at midnight or something.
I love it.
It was crazy. It's crazy, man. I thank them for being so supportive.
So supportive, yeah. So before Sean gets going, another one. How did you get into the blues?
Wow, I that's a good question. I've never thought of myself as a blues artist or a blues whatever. Like people say, the top blues producer in the country or whatever. I didn't set out to do that at all. I just was making records. I was in Boston. I had my band TH and the Wreckage, and I had to produce the records, and because we couldn't afford a big time producer,
Yeah.
And so I was just doing that, and then I started doing that for, the songs would be on the radio, BCN or something, and people would say, "Who produced the record? Who wrote the song?" And I'd say, "I did," And so they go, "Can you do that for my band?" So I would do that for Susan Tedeschi and different people. And I think what ended up happening was, when I started to get more known at it, people like Johnny Winter would call, and people like record companies would say, so kind of rootsy rock stuff.
Okay.
And a lot of the records ended up in like the blues bin at the record store, and then they'd be up for blues awards.
Wow.
And so, I think that's kind of how it happened. I mean, I didn't. I still write, pop songs, and I write rock songs, and my record, for example, my latest record, Down the Hatch, is like been a #1 blues record, in a lot of places, a lot of countries, and to me, it's not. It's me playing some blues, but a lot of rock and roll, and a lot of, I think it sounds more like. Some of the reviewers will say this sounds like Tom Petty meets, some other band, and so I don't sit down to do blues, but if it ends up, somehow, And then I work with, I'll work with B.B. King or Buddy Guy, and they're blues guys. So I don't know. It's just I didn't set out to be the blues guy, but I do love the blues, and
Well, you love music. You love music, and the blues happens to be a feeling that you get, and what have you. So with that, you started coming to the channel when? When did you start? And I don't mean playing. I just mean just to come in there and look at people, watch people.
Right. Well, probably when I was probably what was the drinking age? I mean, I don't know, 18, 19, 20.
That's
I would go in and. I have a fond memory of sitting at the bar, not really knowing anybody, and sitting there, and Roger Earl from Foghat was sitting at the bar, and he just started talking to me, and I thought, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen, like, this is the drummer from Foghat, and it's just crazy stuff. But So, as a young age, I started going there and seeing all the bands, and I put a band together and tried to get gigs there, and we ended up doing a lot of gigs there, which was just wonderful,
Sean, you can tell him how many he played. You did.
Yeah, definitely the channel. We counted at least 21 times you played there, Tom, that's a lot, which is great. And then obviously you had it down to that. So, but yeah, we'll go over a few of those later. I do want to step back a bit, though. I know you grew up in Buffalo, then you came to Berkeley in '80, I believe, right? And then I was going to say, it's kind of funny. You're like one of the few people from Berkeley that I think has actually made the whole 4 years. I think like guys go for a few semesters and they take off or whatnot. But you got the full experience at Berkeley, got the degree in professional music. Maybe just talk about how that kind of I'm assuming that kind of launched you in the Boston scene, so to speak, as far as making connections and whatnot. Maybe talk about the Berkeley years a little bit, if you don't mind.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah, well, I think, because at Berkeley, I was able to, like what I was talking about, I was doing gigs long before, in high school and junior high. So when I got to Boston when I was like 18, I was kind of an anomaly. Some people would say, what are you doing with your drums getting into a cab at, 8:00 in the evening? And I'd be like, well, aren't you going to go practice? And I go, well, I got a gig, I just looked at it was the Phoenix, I guess. I looked at the Phoenix and went, who's looking for music? Who's looking for a drummer, because that's how I supported myself. That's how I did. That's what my job was. It always was. So when I got to Berkeley, I started doing it. So I got a gig with, the first gig I got in town was, it said, country rock artists looking for full-time salary position, whatever, and I was at Berkeley thinking, I can't do this, but I'm going to try it out anyways. And, I went into a Looney Tunes there, and his name was John Lincoln Wright and the Sour Mash Boys.
Oh man.
And I went,
nice.
and I saw him on an album cover, and I went, holy shit, I got to call this guy. I got to call that and get an audition. So I called, and the audition was, to go down to McNasty's with some club, and wait till the last set, and then he was going to call up the guys who are auditioning to sit in. And I had a fake ID, because I wasn't old enough. and the thing also said you had to be like at least 25 and versed in a lot of things you had to do. I didn't know anything about any of this stuff, and I got in, and when they brought me up, I remember he said, "Carl Perkins, you know Carl Perkins?" And I was just looking blank, and I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he goes, he counted off "Honey Don't," and I thought, "Oh, the Beatles." Yeah, no problem, And then he said, do you know, like this song? And I thought, I don't know it. And then it was an old Chuck Berry song. So that somebody had covered. And so I got the gig. And so I had to tell my teachers at Berkeley, when I was going on the road, and they were very supportive, So through those 4 years at Berkeley, I mean, I played with Roy Buchanan. I toured with him. I played with lots of people that they would give me, the teachers there. I'd say to the teacher, I got this gig with Roy Buchanan, and I'm going to go off for 6 weeks. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, just go do it," And so you come back and make up the work, and because they were all musicians and they wanted gigs, and they were trying to get gigs. So, I kind of just did that, and got to be able to play around town and got the lay of the land,
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's awesome. That's great.
That's good.
Get the actual get up there and playing and just kind of winging it, and at the age you were, and just being open to trying anything pretty much, and here you are, 40 years later in the business.
It's
crazy.
It's the feeling, Tom.
You go back. We listen to the channel. We'll go back to other stuff later on. But the channel, we got at least 21 shows. You headlined there quite a bit, Tom, and then with your band, the records, like we talked about, you also did some co-headlining gigs with other legendary Boston bands like the Neighborhoods, the Fools, Fahrenheit, Treat Her Right. But you also had some amazing support slots opening for bands, pretty historic people like Carlene Carter, Mark Farner, Bo Diddley, Buffett Turner Overdrive, and then one that I'll never forget, the Roy Orbison show. Maybe you can talk about some of your memories from actually playing on that stage.
Oh my God! This is man. Thank you for doing that research. I was nervous because I was thinking I remember a lot of those shows, but then half of the ones you mentioned I forgot about that were amazing. Like the Roy Orbison, I know, was his second last show he ever played.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was an amazing night to be at the channel, and it was packed. And I remember Roy, I mean, it was such an honor to be on that bill. And, I think I still have a little poster somewhere from that. And, but also I know what you mean. I forgot about Bachman Turner Overdrive and Mark Farner. And, I know Fahrenheit, one of my favorite bands, Fahrenheit, Charlie Fahrenheit. I love them. I love those guys. And,
Bo Diddley opened for Bo Diddley.
Oh yeah, Bo Diddley, and I actually played drums for Bo Diddley too for a while. Now I think about it, but some craziness with that. But I know one time I used to play with. I'd be the band leader for a lot of kind of oldies acts, like the Coasters and the Gary Puckett and Unity Gap. I remember I was in the Hermits for a little bit. Crazy things. And I was playing downtown, like on the Esplanade, with Martha Reeves and the Vandellas.
Yeah.
And dancing in the streets, and I played with her a lot. And I got the gig opening for Fahrenheit that night.
Okay.
And so awesome. It was a tight squeeze, but what I did was I said to Martha, I said, I got to leave right after the gig. And she goes, "Where are you going?" I go, "I'm going to this other gig, She goes, "Well, where is it, far?" And I go, "No, it's not. It's downtown. I mean, it's not far at all." And she goes, "Well, we'll come with you." And so Martha Reeves and the Vandellas came. And I remember Charlie was on the side of the stage watching our set. And, I at one point in the show, I said, "Hey, I'm going to bring up some guests." And I brought up Martha Reeves and the Vandellas. And we did Dancing in the Street. And I remember him looking at me like, what the hell are you doing, man? You know what I mean? Like, and it was.
I love it. I love it. That's
so wonderful times at the channel. And the Fools, I know, like I used to just play. I'd get asked to play drums for other bands, and one night at the channel, the Fools, their drummer, couldn't be there. And I think I was opening. Yeah, I opened the show with TH and the Wreckage, and then I played their set. And I love those guys, man. Those guys are awesome. So that was a dream gig,
And you did a bunch of special guest gigs, for benefits. Dirty Water taping you did.
Yeah.
And
right.
many benefits. The drive, treater. Mickey O. I think he did a benefit for Mickey O.
You're right. All those. Man, those were really special times, man. It's all coming into view now. You know.
You even did one of those WBC had free lunches at 11:30 in the afternoon.
That's
Those were great. Those were great.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I remember those are the best, you know?
Yeah, because you're done then and you go home.
I know.
You play my gig. It's like now we're getting a bit older. The gigs are getting earlier, like 8 o'clock on and off by 9 and out of there and stuff like that.
I know. It's crazy.
Well, it has to be because the age like myself, which is older than you guys, and wants to be. Well, I'm in bed at 7 these days because I'm up at 4. I'm up at 4 getting ready for dialysis and stuff. But the bottom line is we're on a different schedule. I'm like on my old hospital schedule, whereas I used to be on a schedule for casinos. You know, I'd be up till 4 in the morning playing casinos and stuff with mamas and papas and people like that. And then we go out and play and have fun. But you're having fun on the road. Every time you mention every one of those bands, all I can think about is you wailing away in the back having a great old time. You know, because it was honest stuff. It was not make-up. It was just Tom having a good time with remembering certain tunes. Like he said, I remember that from the Beatles. So let's do it that way. Well, he wanted it his way, but it fell right, just in the right place because of the feel.
Yeah. No, I love it. And all the people because I'm such a music fan, so even the fact that like Sean, you brought up, you know, Roy Orbison or Carlene Carr. I think I did the Fabulous Thunderbirds possibly there, and I mean, I don't know, but I know there was one time I think I played with a band called Chicken Legs. And they were, it was like guys from Little Feet.
Little Feet, that's right. That's right. I remember that.
I mean, I don't even remember. I think it was called Chicken Legs. I don't know. And like you brought up Mark Farner, I forgot that one because he, and I'm such a big Grand Funk fan, but so I finished my set and he had his bus out back. And I remember somebody said, hey, he wants to say hi or something. And I walked out waiting, you know, to say hi. And he asked me to come on the bus. And he asked me to be in their prayer before they went on. Yeah. And it was like intense, you know. It was like he did this thing where he was a very religious guy. I didn't know that, you know. And he did this thing on the bus before. And then we all walked out, you know, and he went on stage and played. And I thought, wow, that was a trip, you know.
That would be a definite trip, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So Tom, you've worked with some absolute legends over the years, and I'll go over a few of those in the video. But you also kind of found yourself being the go-to guy to put together bands, the backup bands. You know, some people may or may not know. Some of the stars, you know, older as they got older, they went out and played different markets. They didn't bring their own band with them. They either couldn't afford it, or they just didn't have the players available. So you kind of fell into the lap of being this guy, you know, the guy locally who could put these bands together on a moment's notice to be the backup band for, you know, people like Bo Diddley, Chuck Berry, Shannon. I think you mentioned Gary Puckett, people like that, and all over New England. So how did you kind of find yourself in that position where that's an extremely important position, first of all, but how did you become that guy, so to speak?
Good question. I mean, I don't remember how it happened, but I think it was like it would start with, I know the Chuck Berry thing started, I was in Worcester at the Palladium or somewhere we were at. Some agent got Chuck Berry and they needed a backup band, and somebody said, Tom Hambridge can probably do it. You know, he can probably get the guys and he can play drums. Yeah. And so they called me, and I remember I did that. And then every time Chuck Berry seemed to play anywhere, from like I played with him in Radio City in New York. I played in around New England, you know, in New Jersey, New Hampshire. He'd play a festival somewhere out there in New Hampshire, and I would get a call from somebody. They would say, hey, I talked to the guy at the Centrum or the Worcester gig, and he told me that gig went really good to get you. Yeah. And then that would turn into the guy from New Hampshire. So all these agents, and then what ended up happening, I think, is these agents booked other shows. So, Gary Puckett and Unigap or Sean O'Neill would be coming down the pike, and they'd say, we need a drummer for that, or we need Tom to get a band. We need somebody to get a band together for that. And so they'd call me, and I'd go, okay, Del Shannon. I'd go, okay,
Oh, wow.
I can do it. When is it? And I did Del Shannon shows, and I did Little Anthony and the Imperials, and Bo Diddley, and Peter Noon, of course, and the Coasters, and so it turned into, I never had a manager or an agent or anything. They just would call me on my phone and say, we've got, next month we've got these shows at the South Shore Music Circus or at the Melody Tent in Cape Cod. We've got a show with Del Shannon, the Coasters, the Siobhans, Leslie Gore, and Fabian or something. And can you back up all of them?
Yeah.
I'd go, okay, well, what do they want? Like, they say they want, a keyboard player, a guitar player, a bass player, and they need a sax player, and so I would call up my friends, people that I knew that were great musicians. And so I had a whole Rolodex of guys that I could call, and that's how that all started,
And
amazing. Plus, you built your Rolodex, like you said, there were so many good players in the Boston area that you became known. Playing in town so often. Had a really quite a Rolodex, I'm sure, at that point.
And once I would play with an artist, I would get to know what they liked or what they didn't like. Then I could even tailor-made the band for them,
Yeah,
I think that's why Chuck Berry kept calling me those guys, because, like, Chuck didn't want another guitar player.
Yeah.
And it said, like, in his rider, get a guitar player. Chuck didn't like that. I knew that after the first gig. He didn't like that. And he needed a piano player to play a certain way. So I got it, and how the grooves he wanted. And so I was able to do it. And maybe, sometimes, Chuck would call me every now and then, and or I would call him and have to, go over stuff for the gig, but no, it was awesome. And that was a really big learning stomping ground for me to learn all these.
For sure. What a resource you were for them, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
And then when you get to move on, you moved on to Nashville and started producing different people. And with that in mind, you've had some really good number ones and some good hits from the band, different bands, and not just Wonderful Buddy Guy. And I'm sure he's been so grateful that you've been able to take him around the world and stuff and play the way that he feels every night, and stuff like that, and look after him and what have you. And that's what you've done with some of them new bands. You've really took them under your wing and produced them. That I think has been absolutely brilliant, because it's like you said, it's more country, bluesy rock, on some of them bands, but they categorize it. As far as I know, it's music and it feels so damn good, and that's the thing.
Yeah. It has, speaking of like young artists, that's been a cool thing to, like, I'm trying to think, Susan Tedeschi was one of the first ones.
Yes.
But making her Just Won't Burn record. And then, but also there's this Quinn Sullivan from Massachusetts. I did his first 3 records, and I got this guy Chris Stone, Kingfish Ingram, who is he's blowing. We just won a Grammy, not this year, the year before, and he's selling out all the Stones. Asked him to tour with them. He's like crazy good, and I've been able to write his songs and with him and produce his records. He'd never been in a studio when he. So now he's he's on fire, and so those are cool. But it is also like great to work with my idols, I never dreamed that I'd work with, Keith Richards and Jeff Beck and Clapton and those guys. And so when I am, when it works out that they want me to be involved with their record or what they're doing or whatever's going on, I'm always pinching myself. It's just, when Billy Gibbons comes over to my house, to write for his top record, he's still Billy Gibbons, to me.
Yeah.
He's
right.
Like, holy shit, or Skinner would come over, Leonard Skinner, the band, and Gary Rosington and all those guys, so I don't know. I feel like I don't want to just be dropping names, but it is. There's a lot of these guys that I grew up going to concerts to see, and when I'm, I never dreamed in my lifetime that I would be actually in a room making music with them or playing drums with them or writing a song with them or for them. And so it doesn't get lost on me. You know, hanging out with Greg Allman, having him sing one of my songs and recording it with him, I'll never forget that. You know, I'll never forget, Mick Jagger walking in, asking me, what do you want me to do on this? I go, fucking hey, man, you're Mick Jagger,
But Mick,
I don't know, man.
Mick's like that, and especially since they brought up on the White Boy Blues, as we call it, because that's what mine was with Fleetwood Mac. But this is sensational.
Right.
This is sensational stuff. And
like they were a blues band, right? I mean, like that's what I mean. I guess when you're asking about me being a producer, playing blues. I mean, they were trying to be a blues band, and it turned into Tumbling Dice and Brown Sugar and Satisfaction and Honky Tonk Woman. That's them playing the blues, And so for me, the same thing when I'm writing songs for a record that I'm going to have Peter Frampton on that's going to sing with Buddy Guy. I'm writing a song that I think would sound good for Peter Frampton, or I'm writing whatever. And so I'm not thinking, I have to be a traditional blues guy. I'm just writing a song. It'll sound the way I record it because I kind of sound like I sound and they sound like they sound. It's going to have that rock and roll bluesy edge, It's just going to.
It's the Buffalo Boston connection. That's what it is.
Yeah, right, man. Absolutely. BB.
Yeah, it is exactly.
We do want you to your own turn, Tom. You have quite an amazing, legacy with the roster of people that you've been talking about. I mean, it's hard, like you say, it's hard to be pigeonholed as a blues person because it's all over you're over the map, right? You listen to ZZ Tops, Greg Allman, excuse me, George Thorogood. I mean, there's people all across the spectrum, but I've also heard musicians say that it all comes back to the blues. That's everybody's baseline, essentially, right? So, you did work with guys like Roy Buchanan, Bo Diddley, B.B. King, Hank Williams, James Cotton, Joe Bonamassa. I mean, you really helped Susan Tedeschi get off the ground and kind of, you wrote her two first singles, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it is. It's in everything. I mean, like my older brother turned me on to James Cotton, and he turned me on to Roy Buchanan, and he turned me on to the Allman Brothers, and he turned me on to Muddy Waters, and so all these acts that I ended up kind of working with, I think I kind of grew up listening, and a part of their DNA was in me. So I think the first time I played with Roy Buchanan, I remember it was at Jonathan Swift's in Cambridge, and I got the gig. I was maybe 19 or 20 years old or something, and I was supposed to rehearse, and we never rehearsed. And so I got there, and finally I met him when we were going on stage. It was sold out.
Wow.
And he said, "Oh, so you're Tom? You're the drummer, man. What do you want to play?" And I was like, I whatever you want to play, your stuff, I guess, And it ended up being that a lot of the stuff I remember listening to with my brother.
I get you.
And so I was already kind of feeling how maybe it should go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
And he would do Sweet Dreams, like a cover of that song, or he would do Peter Gunn.
Yeah.
He would do songs that you kind of knew if you would listen to music. Now if you just listen to pop music or something, you might know that. Not know that, But I mean, I didn't. I listened to kind of everything. I loved everything, so I was kind of already ready, a little bit.
Your brother got you going.
You can thank your brother for that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking the same thing, John. I was thinking exactly the same. He did a wonderful job.
Tom, so basically, you're known as, I think, from the Boston years, most of us, I think, knew you as a singer-songwriter and a drummer, but you're a percussionist, you're a composer, you're a producer. You've been wearing like every hat essentially especially since moving down to Nashville. Do you have, is there one you enjoy more than others, or you kind of a jack of all trades? Like you do everything for everybody, but do you have anything you really kind of consider like your number one spot, like where you really think you're best at, or your preference to do that position, so to speak?
Wow, that's a good one. I don't. I think at different times I like doing different things but more, because what happens is there'll be times when I'm producing records, and so say I have to do a Kebmo record, and then I have to do a George Thorogood record, and then I have to do a Buddy Guy record, whatever, a bunch of records in a row, and I have to like write all the songs.
Yeah.
And so I'm really in focus on all that. And then I'll love being a songwriter, and I'll love trying to come up with, really cool stuff, material for these records. And then when I go into the studio and I'm playing drums and I'm producing the record, I love being in the studio. I love it. But by the third record in a row, after I've been doing this for like 8 weeks, I want to just go out and do a gig.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, man, I wouldn't mind just going out at some club and just singing and playing some songs. Because this is, so I think, and then I'll get into that. I'll go, you know what? I think I'm going to go out and do some dates, and I'll go out and do some dates, and then I'll be like, man, I really want to. I've got these ideas in my head for songs, and I'll look at who wants me to do a record, and I'll start, like I just did a record. I'm in the middle of a couple right now, but like this artist that was on American Idol, Jovan Webb, and he's I did his first record and it blew up, and now we're doing the second one. So I was really focused in that. So I'm mixing that record right now, and I'm mixing that record, but I'm also thinking about this next record I have to do, and I have to start writing the songs for. So I think all the hats I wear, I love doing it when I'm doing it, and but there's times when if I do too much of one, I want to just do something else.
Sure.
There are times when someone will say, man, would you ever consider, just playing drums on my record? We have a producer, and I'd be like, I'd love to. I mean, because I don't get to do that often because I'm busy.
Yeah.
So like,
Sure.
just to do that and not have to write the songs and not have to produce the record and not have to make all the decisions and hire everybody, I'll just come in and play drums. Sure. That sounds wonderful.
It's like when you go out to like Buffalo and to Boston to play with people like Sal Bagley want to come and play with the old, and you have fun with that whole thing, which changes the demeanor. Yeah, because he's changing the demeanor. Then you get more input for what you're doing on your writing and stuff like that. I mean, because that's the fun stuff with them guys, because they all love to play. And when your musicians all love to play, you just let it all out. It's like John Butcher's playing and Baron Whitfield's hanging and playing with him on a night down here. I'm like, yes, that's how it should be done. Get the guys together, get the girls together, get whomever from that time period and let them have fun. And by the time the end of the day is done, now you can start thinking of what you're really doing in the studio and what you're doing here and what you're doing there. It works. To me, doing the live stuff before you actually get all the stuff done in the studio helps you fine detail it, and helps you do what you do best, and take your mind off everything else. Just focus on what you're doing. So I love it. I love that, going out and having to play live and stuff like that. Because you've been in the studio long enough, let's go out and do a gig or two. And we did that a bunch of time with the Birds. Let's get out of here. It's too much. And then we came back and boy, it's done. Because you've played all these shows, and you've played all these shows with the songs that you're doing in the studio, just popping in just to see what happens. And then they come back with such wonderful ideas, and it's done. Within a few hours, they can get it all together instead of being working for weeks, costing hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then you don't need that. You just go in and boom, done next and stuff.
Yep. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I love those guys, Sal and those guys. I mean, those guys, I have a great band in Boston, and
they're wonderful musicians in their own right, and what they did with their own bands, but also playing with musicians from that time period, and having fun with the time period. And every one of them that's out now, from the Fools, the Stompers, are still having that kind of fun in their particular field, because they're only going out to so many of the places that they've used to play for years ago, and them places are still getting packed with all their friends and fans. But again, the shows are earlier these days, so you're not going on at 12 midnight of like Channel, you know, headlining at 12 midnight. Well, all those people are coming from the other clubs just to see you play because you start at 12 midnight. Well, you're trashed by then, so you just get whatever's going on, and
you got to pace yourself.
Exactly. Okay.
Those midnight and 1 a.m. headlining at the Channel days are long gone for sure.
Oh, that's why I love when I was going out with the mamas and papas and stuff with the casinos. I could put we did three shows a night, and we did them till 4 a.m. and stuff. You know, it was that kind of thing. And it was you do one show at 10 or 11, and then the next show after that, and then at 4 o'clock in the morning you quit. So you just okay, well, we'll go down and just have something to eat now. And that's how your day was, you know, when you're doing them casinos and staying there for a week. And but it's fun because people are coming to you, and you can get more out of the people at that time period. And if you go and do any rehearsing or anything, the people would want to be in there while you're doing that and stuff. You know, they come out to the casino, they hear you playing and they're trying to get in the doors, you know. But I'm just saying that's
so busy. It almost seems like maybe I'm reading this the wrong way. It's almost like you go on vacation, take the Rattlesnakes up, play a few gigs in the Northeast, and with your friends, and get behind the drum kit, and just have a good time. It's like your break from the mundane. And that's not mundane at all what you're doing, but as far as it kind of gets you back in the fun spirit of it, and then you go back to the studio, do what you do after that, you know.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah, it is like that. Exactly.
You've got so many notes inside you, Tom. You've got to get them out somehow without causing aggro with the last note. Why did I hit that wrong? I know it should be this way. And you don't have time to discuss it. Just do it and stuff. Okay, I'm done. Mm-hmm. No, that's your feeling. You're feeling so you just focus on that. That's what I saw when you played every time at the club that I saw you at. And I did see you running around looking at whatever band's playing and seeing out, what's that? Is that the latest and the greatest, or is it, am I better than that? Or can I do better than that? You know? And,
well, we were really blessed with so many great local bands.
Oh,
definitely. I mean, to me, that's the one thing that just slayed me when I got to Boston, and I would just go into these clubs and see the Stompers and see, like you mentioned, all these other bands, the Enemy and the Neighborhoods, or whoever, just killing. And I go, wow, they were doing original material. John Butcher Axis. Just doing their thing, and it was just so inspiring for me, because I was young, and I thought, boy, I got to get a band together, and I got to write songs and play. I have to do what they're doing, and see if I can, get out there and do this, because this is happening, So, I would love it.
We talked about that quite a bit, Tom. It's like we kind of feel like we were very spoiled in the the Boston music scene, especially, where there were so many amazing talents, bands, artists, and the ecosystem was there right there. Remember, there was we had BCN and COZ and AAF and the college radio station. We had the Phoenix. We had a really supportive network, and there's obviously friendly competition between the bands. You want to have the biggest crowd, play the biggest club, but you also respect each other. And like you said, there was so much talent there, and it helps you build these backing bands for all these international artists later on. And it's, but that was really a really magical time back then.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, it was amazing. So much amazing stuff happening.
No, you were going to say something, Dinky?
No, I was thinking out loud. Go for it, Sean.
The more the highlights, so to speak. I know you've done, with different artists, Jimmy Kimmel, the Conan Show, Late Show, Letterman Show. You've done the White House a couple of times. I mean, maybe give us a little bit of, some inside baseball. Like how any of those shows in particular were you on the national stage, so to speak? Any memories that come to your mind right away?
Yeah. That's
yeah. I mean, every time playing the White House was just amazing. I know one time when Obama was in office, I went there and played with Mick Jagger, Booker T, was the keyboard player.
Oh my!
CMG.
Oh my!
And I'm trying. Well, Jeff Beck on guitar, and Buddy Guy. It was just loaded. It was insane. And BB King. And when I went up, it was to play with Jeff Beck, Buddy Guy, and Mick Jagger. And I remember we did rehearsals at the White House, and I had played there before on another thing with Kevin Moe and a bunch of people, and I was just in the White House rehearsing with everybody, and Obama came down the stairs.
Oh, wow.
Just just in his jeans. I think he had jeans on and a shirt, and we all were kind of just standing there, just not really knowing what to do. And I know he walked over and he said, "Hey, Tom, welcome back."
Yeah, I love it.
And I went, "Oh, thank you, sir." I was thinking he was gonna, go get out of my house or move or something. And he goes, "Hey, welcome back, Tom." And I thought, obviously I know that he probably was, told who was in the room before he went down there. And I did meet him previously, So, but I thought that's just good, man. This guy is good. And and that was the night he sang. He sang "Sweet Home Chicago."
Oh,
right.
Yes, I remember that.
And because it was Narada Michael Walden on drums, on one drum kit, and I was on the other drum kit. And but I also remember, right before we went on, because it was live, they were taping live, and I was in this dressing room area, little green room, and I'm sitting there, and Jeff Beck's on my right, and Mick Jagger's on my left, and they're both asking me questions about the arrangement of the song, because they're going, "So, Tom, Mick goes, so do I sing after Buddy's solo, or do I sing after Jeff's solo?" And I go, "You sing after Jeff's solo." And Jeff goes, "Is Buddy soloing first or am I soloing?" And I go, "Okay, all right." So I go, "Listen, you're soloing, Mick, Buddy's going to sing the first verse. Jeff, you're going to take the first solo. And then the next verse, Mick, you're going to sing that." He goes, "Oh, right on. Got it. And I go, "And then after that, Buddy's going to solo. And then you're both going to sing the last verse." And I'm thinking to myself, if anyone told me when I was 16 that I'd be sitting in this room in this conversation, I'd say, "You're out of your mind. This is crazy." And
you picture something and say, "That's incredible."
Oh my gosh!
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, so there's so many of these things that happen that on the inside, I'm just flipping out,
Sure.
flipping out, and that I'm even in the room. So I feel blessed, all this stuff.
I love it, Tom. That's awesome, because that's how it's real. Remember, folks out there, it's real.
And you're right, it is real, because they were real people.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
You think of them as these idols, like I could tell you some crazy ones where I'm thinking, how does this guy not these guys, but some other band where I was thinking, man, I'm trying to explain to them how this goes, and they've made the best records I've ever heard in my life, but they're asking me, and I'm thinking, how is this, but then you realize they're just people, they're
just people,
and it could have been an accident the way they did that song, that one song that I love, for years, so yeah.
Well, it's wonderful stuff. That's exactly what we're after, because that's your life, Tom. That's what you've done, and that's what you're still doing, and it's wonderful to have that. You don't have to go too crazy, but you can really go crazy, if you know what I mean. It's a wonderful time to be, because this energy that's been coming down from Boston to Nashville, with you, with Robert Harris, Oral, all those, guys that's gone down there. We've got a lot of the crew that used to work at the channel, like Scott Pullman's down there. And a bunch of the crew guys that worked at the channel have gone all down to Nashville to work, and they've been there for years and doing stuff that because that's where everything seems, all the good quality stuff is still coming out of, And
well, it's an industry town, It's like we're there's, the tour buses leave from here, and the records get made here, and the publishing companies are here, and the record companies are here. So it's like you can, I guess, come down and try to get involved, and you don't have to be spread out somewhere. It's there is
the thing about it.
Crew guys.
The thing that's real good is you can go downtown and play any night if you want to. You can go down and that's the key. That's what we love about a scene. And Sean and I talked about that, about the Boston scene at that time period. You could go to play at Bunratty's or something and then come down to the Channel afterwards and play there, and have a great old time. Or you could come down and see somebody at the Channel that says, "Oh, come on, get up, jump up with us," and stuff, and play with us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the time, and you can do that in Nashville. I know they've got it all themed out and whatever, but you can still go down and play if you want to, because who you are and stuff and what you do. It's the real scene. I mean, we went with the Birds and had a great old time down there with the Birds. We got into trouble there at Roger Miller's place, but other than that, we had White Lightning does it every time. Let me tell you. but
oh, that's funny. That's wild.
But when
I think you went to Nashville pretty much at the right time. John. One of the other musician friends I know have gone down there, and it's like you just said, it's really become almost like music business. It's almost gotten too big for some people now. It's almost like everybody's a pro, no matter which guy you walk, any club, any night of the week. There's pros all over the stage, walking up and down the street trying to get a gig, and you almost have to leave after a while to go, kind of go and do your own thing, because it's so competitive down there, because it became like really the industry space for the last few years.
And the people coming up from the South are now, from Memphis and places that's like that, are coming in more and more into town in there and whatever. So you're going to get all those hardcore blues guys, or rock blues, I would say, more than blues. To actually work with, because they want to get someone like yourself in there, and wow, let's see what we got going in, and next thing you know, they're up in the charts, like you said, with some of this. So Sean, what's the other questions you got wrote down? I know you've got a few.
A couple more, if you don't mind, Tom. I just want to say, I know I kind of, my first thought of you these days is almost like you've kind of been Buddy Guy's man for like a while now, right? And I think I just realized he's still out there touring, which is crazy, and I'm assuming you're still out there playing with him, yes?
90 years of age.
You know what?
Right?
Yeah. You know what? I told him recently that I'm not going to do the 90-year-old, the new tour with the new record. The new record just won a Grammy. I'm really excited about that, and it could be one of his. People are saying it's one of his best records he's ever made. And I've made, I think, 9 Buddy Guy records. And so I am really excited. But I loved playing drums for him. And I did tour the world, around the world many, many times with him. And it just, I mean, everywhere. And I mean, from, Europe to Israel to Brazil to Japan to wherever, and so this tour is going to start in Australia and go around the world again. And I'm just so busy producing records and writing these songs. And to be honest with you, I had so much fun and playing all these places I never dreamed that I'd be able to play and go and do. And I'm so blessed that I was able to do it for so long. But I think, it's funny. To me, I guess this is a little bit of a personal thing, but it's just, to me, sometimes you think about at this age how many more times you have around the world.
Yeah, that's true.
And I've done it so many times. I've been doing this for so long that I love playing the Hollywood Bowl. I love playing Madison Square Garden. I love playing it, but that was a dream. As a drummer, when I was in Boston, and just going, man, if I could just play, the Beacon Theater one time, or can I, whatever, or go to London for one time and play, And after all those dreams came true, I'm thinking, you know what? I don't mind not going. Yeah. And I'm okay as long as I'm creating and making music, and making music for other people that can go and do that. Like Kingfish, I want him to play all these places. I want everyone that I'm working with to go out and do those places. But the traveling and all of that to get there, and you're not home for months at a time.
Yeah.
I think I'm just at a point now where, like you say, I'm good to go out with my band, Tom Hambridge band, go to New England and play 5 shows, and that's great for me. And then come back and make a couple records.
Yeah,
you know?
Sure.
So I told him, and he's cool with that. He's just though, that's what he does. That's all he's done his whole life.
Yeah.
So he doesn't produce records for people and write songs for people. He that's his life on the road. Buddy guy. He goes on stage and he kills every night. And there's a demand for him to do that.
Oh yeah.
And so he wants to do that.
Yes.
You know, he's probably making more money than he's ever made because of all the stuff now, all the new record, and we did the Sinners movie. You know, where he was in that. And he was very. I don't know if you saw that movie, The Sinners. It's got like it set a record for most Oscar nominations, and you know, I'm in it with a little bit at the end, you know, playing drums for him, but he acted in it. And so he's got a lot of offers right now. And so I'm really excited for him, and he just won the Grammy. So I'm just, you know, I want him to go and do it and enjoy it. And, you know, for as long as he can, man, I just don't want to, you know, I don't want to get on a 30-hour flight to.
No, it makes sense.
Brisbane.
It makes sense.
You know,
you're in an envious position now where you can do that, Tom, which is great. Like you said, you've been there, you've seen the show many, many times. You've been all over the world, and you've got so much going on at home with your studio. You know, just all the work, like we talked before, composing, drumming when you can, songwriting, singing, producing. There's just so much you're still there able to do, and kind of pick your own, you know,
exactly.
Play with your buddies in New England for a week here and there, and. But I was going to mention, because I thought you were on that tour with him. But anybody who was listening, I know Buddy Guy is coming to Boston again in the area. He'll be playing in Lynn on August 5th. I was going to say, hopefully we'll see Tom there, but I guess you're on that tour, which is fine. But I just want to say, before we do wrap up, 7 Boston Music Awards, ASCAP Award, 5 Grammys, 10 Grammy nominations, which I think is almost more impressive. You've been nominated 10 different times to different records, which is incredible. So, you know, thank you for making the time. We know you're very, very busy. We haven't forgotten about you up here. We're really happy to have you join us for this call, and we wish you nothing but continued success, and hope to see you back in the Boston area again soon.
Oh, definitely.
You know, I appreciate you guys reaching out, because sometimes I think, man, I hope they remember that I, you know, because I had such a great time being a part of that scene forever, you know, the channel and all these bands, and I love them all and made great friendships, and I still think about them all the time. I think about you guys, and so I'm honored to be on the show, and you know, next time there's any kind of reunion or something, don't hesitate to call me or something, you know.
Yeah, Sean's the one for that. We want a channel reunion, and we're talking about that. And Sean's the one that wants to put this together. I want to put it together too before I have problems, you know, because I'm not that well. But at the same,
I hope you're getting stronger, Dinky, and it's great to connect with you after all these years. You were a legend at the channel. I mean, you were the cat, you know.
Well, we all were. I mean, you were when you first got there, because you just played the way that you did and do, and it's fantastic. I mean, the playing was. I mean, I've been with Michael Walden, I've been with Mahavishnu, J. Billy Cobham, I've been with all these wonderful drummers, you know, and that was what I did. And I had Steely Dan stuff. I had Bernard Purdy come and play on an album, and Chuck Rainey on the bass and stuff. For, you know, Walter just loved that stuff, you know. And the bottom line is that I've always been around the drummers, and because the drummers give you the beat, they give you the feeling, they move your body, your soul, your spirit. And Tom, you're one of the best in the world for that. And you should get all the accolades that you deserve. There's no ifs and buts. All these Grammy stuff is fantastic. I mean, you know, especially with all the politics that go on. I just want, the bottom line is that you're a wonderful drummer, you're a wonderful person, and you have fun every time. And we can see that. And when you see the instruments being played, whatever it is, and the person playing them are having great fun, your spirit's lifted. And in the channel, it was lifted to. I quit going on the road in '79 just because I just got fed up with all the politics going on. And then the bottom line was the audience were getting more anesthetized than the damn bands. And so there were people that were going out of it, and too out of it, couldn't even comprehend the music when we were playing. I had Ambrosia out at that time, and it was just one of them things. It's just, even with Warren Zevon and people like that. Warren had his crew that came down and his people that came, but then there was the people like the Grateful Dead that loved him, and so we did a Dead show that I had done a bunch with the Dead, and I couldn't believe it. It was so much spirit, so much heart. Every one of the group came down to see Warren because the energy, the inspiration that you do. And it's the same with you, Tom. You give that inspiration as soon as you start hitting them drums. That's why Mick Jagger said, "What do I do next? Tell me what I do." He used to say that to Charlie all the time,
Yeah, Charlie, man. Oh, man.
All right.
Well, thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it, and it's an honor to be talking to you guys, and God bless you all.
Well, thank you, Tom Hambridge and Sean McNally, and this is Two Pints in a Corner, closing out.